On the surface, Clearwater College looked like a safe haven brick buildings shaded by old oak trees, quiet courtyards where students read in the sun, and hallways echoing with footsteps and low conversations. But underneath that picturesque veneer, in the shadows just past the lamplight, something darker simmered. It wasn't something most students talked about. Not out loud. Not unless they trusted you. That silence began to shatter on a cold October night, when a first-year student named Jamie Collins walked out of the East Library wing a little past midnight. Jamie was the kind of kid who blended in with the wallpaper-smart, polite, a scholarship student from a small town who always looked like he was just trying to stay out of the way. That night, he'd stayed late to finish a paper on Renaissance literature, and the usual campus shuttle had stopped running. So he cut through the east parking lot, the fastest route back to his dorm. Unfortunately, the Clearwater Special Campus Patrol Unit liked to linger there after hours. They weren't official police. Not really. They wore uniforms and carried radios, but they were more like a clique of power-hungry enforcers assigned by the town's private security contractor, led by a man named Sergeant Darren Holt. The group had built a reputation for monitoring the campus with tactics that blurred the line between law enforcement and bullying. Jamie didn't notice them at first. Four men leaning against a black cruiser, laughing too loud, their flashlights flickering like searchlights in the dark. But the moment he stepped past the blue emergency call box, he heard it. "Hey, Sunshine," called one of them. The tallest, Officer Grant Walters, with a neck like a linebacker and a voice that grated like sandpaper. "Where you headed in such a hurry?" Jamie froze. "Just heading back to my dorm," he said, trying to keep his voice even. "Oh yeah." Walters stepped in his path, his boots grinding on the asphalt. "That's funny, 'cause you look like you're sneaking off somewhere." Another officer, Lucas Dent, circled around behind Jamie. "Maybe we should check his bag. Make sure he's not carrying anything interesting." Jamie tightened his grip on his backpack. "Two don't have anything." But it didn't matter. Dent snatched the bag and tossed it toward Holt, who caught it with one hand and began unzipping it like it was some kind of game. They rifled through his books and notes, holding them up like trophies. Intro to European Lit. Holt sneered. "Wow, real threat right here." That's when someone stepped out from behind the gym building. Miles Booker had been running laps. It was part of his nightly routine 30 minutes of silence, just him and the track under the floodlights. He wasn't a student in the traditional sense. Technically, he was enrolled in a continuing education program. What most people didn't know was that he was also a former Army Ranger. 3 tours, honorable discharge, a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and a man who, while he didn't look for conflict, had been trained never to turn away from it either. He didn't raise his voice. Didn't need to. "Let it go," he said. The officers turned, surprised by the interruption. Walters sized him up, broad shoulders, athletic build, calm expression. Something about Miles made him hesitate. "You a student?" Holt asked. Miles nodded once. "That kid's done nothing wrong. Return his bag." Dent chuckled. "Or what? Or I'll return it myself," Miles said. There was a pause. You could feel it thick in the air. Then Holt tossed the bag to the ground and stepped forward. "You looking to be a hero tonight?" "I'm looking to end this peacefully," Miles replied, still not raising his voice. "But I won't stand by while you intimidate students." Holt didn't respond. He moved first. He lunged, trying to grab Miles by the collar. But in less than a second, Miles sidestepped, deflected the grab, and brought Holt to the ground with a controlled wrist lock. Walters charged next, baton raised, but Miles ducked under the swing and swept his legs out from under him. The remaining 2 officers hesitated. Miles straightened slowly. "I don't want to hurt you," he said. "But I won't be silent either." They retreated, pulling Holt and Walters to their feet, muttering threats as they disappeared into the shadows. Jamie stood frozen, heart racing. Miles picked up the bag and handed it back. "You all right?" Jamie nodded shakily. "I think so. Thank you. I didn't think anyone would step in." "Stick to well-lit paths," Miles said. "And next time, don't walk alone at night." "Two think they're going to come back," Jamie whispered. "Everyone says campus security won't stop them. They're protected." Miles didn't disagree. "Then we'll find another way." By sunrise, everything had changed. Someone had filmed the entire confrontation quietly, from behind a nearby vending machine. The video went viral within hours. Miles, who had no interest in recognition, became an instant legend. The video spread from dorm room to dorm room, picked up by student networks, reposted with captions like, "Finally, someone stood up and Clearwater's protector." But the fame came with danger. The security patrol had friends both on campus and beyond. That night, in a dusty garage near the outskirts of Clearwater, Holt stood fuming with ice on his wrist. "That son of a bitch humiliated us," he snarled. "We didn't expect that," Walters muttered, still limping slightly. "We come back prepared," Holt said, voice like gravel. "Next time, we don't go in soft." Miles didn't seek out trouble. He returned to his routine classes, quiet workouts, evening runs. But he also began mapping the patrol routes, watching where lights failed, where students gathered, where vulnerability lingered like fog. His military instincts whispered that this wasn't over. Then, just 3 days later, it happened again. Jamie was walking to the dining hall when a dark SUV pulled into the campus loop road. 4 men emerged. Holt, Dent, Walters, and another new face officer, Caleb Price. They didn't wear uniforms this time, but their posture gave them away. "Hey, Bookworm," Holt called. "Still hiding behind your guardian angel?" Jamie froze. But before he could turn, Miles stepped between them. His presence alone changed the air. "Step away," Miles said. "Back for round 2. Walters sneered. "I finish what I start," Miles said. They didn't wait. Dent and Price moved first. Miles sidestepped, grabbed Dent's arm, and redirected his momentum into the pavement. Price swung a baton Miles blocked with his forearm, twisted, and disarmed him in one motion. Then Holt drew something no one expected. A blade. He slashed forward, wild and erratic. Miles caught the motion, trapped his wrist, and with a swift twist, disarmed him. The knife clattered to the sidewalk. Students screamed. Phones came out. Lights flicked on in every direction. Sirens. This time, real campus police arrived, summoned not by whispers but by texts and video feeds. Officers with real authority emerged, shouting commands, floodlights flooding the quad. Holt and his crew froze like animals caught in a trap. "It's not over," Holt growled, backing away. "No," Miles said quietly. "It's just beginning." The fallout came fast. The administration tried to ignore it, but videos piled up. Testimonies, protests, demands, anonymous tips flooded the board. And by the end of the week, the Special Campus Patrol was suspended indefinitely. Investigations began. Lawsuits loomed. Journalists circled. But the real shift wasn't in the headlines. It was in the students. They walked in pairs now, heads high. Self-defense classes filled overnight. Miles was asked to lead them. He didn't want to. He wasn't a teacher. But he remembered what it felt like to be alone, to be cornered, to have no voice until someone stepped up. So he said yes. Jamie came to every session. He learned to stand taller, to move with confidence, to hold his gaze when spoken to. Others joined, young women who had walked faster at night, queer students who had kept to shadows, first years who had heard the rumors and now had a place to fight back. It was quiet, consistent, a slow wildfire of self-worth. And yet, Miles still noticed. The black SUV, parked across the street some nights. Lights off. Someone sitting in the driver's seat too long. Watching. Waiting. They never stepped back on a campus. Not officially. But they were there. Miles kept moving. Not for glory. Not for fear. But because people were watching now. Because his silence had ended. And with it, a campus had found its voice. And somewhere inside, beyond the scar tissue and quiet strength, he knew. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to stand up in the dark and others will find the courage to follow. That night had changed Clearwater forever. And the man who started it, he just kept walking.